Rumours about Paul McCartney's death started circulating in the late 1960s. In 1966, a rumour started in books, college campuses, and within the music industry that Paul McCartney had passed away. The following year, in 1967, more information about the theory surfaced, claiming that Paul had indeed died in a car accident on the M1 Motorway and was decapitated after leaving the studio in a foul mood in the early hours of the morning. In order to keep the band going, they supposedly replaced biological Paul with a lookalike double, and ever since that year, you have been seeing and listening to a man named Billy Shears. In this video series, we are going to explore the clues and coincidences surrounding the rumours in order to gain a greater understanding about the mystery. Could it be a genius marketing plan developed by the Beatles cabal, or something much more sinister? It's to no surprise to those who have researched even 10% of this rumour that there are symbolic clues alluding to Paul's death on pretty much every Beatle album cover. The album that is most known for the clues, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, which was released on May 26, 1967. So this is the first album cover we will look at. From the day of Paul's alleged car crash, November 9th, 1966, to the release of the Sgt. Pepper's album is a span of about 6 months and 18 days, including end date. Keep in mind Paul's birthday, allegedly, is June 18th, spelled as 618 internationally. Allegedly, the band were recording this album back in December of 1966, which would then have meant that this album featured the replacement Paul. Let's begin with the obvious. The Beatles are at a funeral, and on the flowers below, there is a left-handed bass guitar with flowers spelling the name Paul with a question mark. Or if you turn it to the side, the flowers themselves form the letter P. On that bass guitar, there are 3 strings representing the 3 Beatles. If you take the word "here" from hearts on the bass drum, just below it, you can spell out lies with the trophy in between the L and the E. This would spell out "here lies Paul," like "here lies Paul buried." On the cover of the bass drum, we have the words "Lonely Hearts." And if you put a mirror in the middle of these words like so, the bass drum spells 1-1 and X, which is 9. We get 11 and 9. In England, this would be the date of September 11th, but using Crowley's reversal technique, we can also derive November 9th. We'll get to why we lean towards November soon. Just keep that in mind. Now, Heart spells out "he die." All the Beatles are angled at a way where they're looking away from camera while Paul is looking straight at the camera, making it seem like we should focus on him. To the left, notice the 4 Beatles in their suits and ties, just like they're attending a funeral. Behind Paul's head, you see the tip of someone else's head. This is supposed to be the second Paul. These are supposed to symbolize the wax figurines, which are known for being authentic to ratios. You can see the Beatles were all the same height, apart from Ringo. Even in a Beatles magazine, it says that Paul is 5 feet 11, just like John Lennon. But now, notice to the right, the new Paul is taller. The other Beatles are wearing hats to make the height gap unnoticeable. Above Paul, he's being blessed by a hand who belongs to a man named Stephen Crane, who wrote a short story called The Open Boat, which is about 4 men who make it to a lifeboat, but one of them drowned and only 3 return. Everyone on the album cover supposedly had a near-death experience or is dead. On the doll to the right, you see a left-handed glove that is bloody, as well as a tiny car. This represents the white Aston Martin that biological Paul allegedly crashed in. The next few clues are more subjective, yet very revealing if they should be true. On the cover, you can see the word subliminally spelled out, saying Pleasington, which is a gravesite in Blackburn, Lancashire. In the song A Day in the Life, John Lennon alludes to Paul's car crash and decapitation with the lyrics,
He blew his mind out in a car. He didn't notice that the lights had changed.
In the lyrics, he sings,
4,000 holes in black Cadillac cheer. Though the holes were rather small, they had to count them all.
the holes hint towards digging 6-foot graves. Here, written in the bed of roses, you can see, RIP PMC 66 Defjen is 502. Again, Evlefen would be 11 and Ix would be 9. Reading that backwards, you get September 11th, 66, which is the British spelling for November 9th, 1966. The 502 would be at 5 AM 02 seconds he was pronounced dead. On the drum kit again, if you look at it like a clock, you can see 2 hands. One point at the 5 o'clock mark and the other points at the 2-minute mark. On the back of the album cover, George appears to be pointing at the lyrics. Wednesday morning at 5 o'clock, November 9th, 1966, which is hidden in the album cover, is indeed a Wednesday. Next to Paul's head, you will see the lyrics to the song, Within You, Without You, directly. The words within you are on his head. Without you are on the side of his head. Paul has 3 black buttons on his jacket representing the mourning of the other Beatles. Each of the Beatles have their hands arranged in such a way where it spells love. George's hand spells an L, whilst John spells a V and Ringo spells an E. Paul is supposed to represent an O like the hole missing in the Beatles. On the inside sleeve, there is a life-sized picture of the Beatles. On Paul's arm, there's a badge that says OPP Ontario Provincial Police. Yet it's taken at such an angle where it looks like OPD, which in England it can mean officially pronounced dead. So, in conclusion, if Paul is indeed buried in Pleasington, Blackburn, Lancashire, then who is the replacement? Well, many have pointed to the lyrics in the song Sgt. Pepper's.
So let me introduce to you the one and only Billy Shears and Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band.
The other clue is Sgt. Pepper's nickname. Well, apparently in Liverpool back in the mid-1960s, there was a band which the Beatles supported when they started named Billy Pepper and the Pepper Pots. The frontman is named Bill Shepherd. His nickname was Billy Shears. They released 3 albums from 1964 to 1966. Bill Shepherd was also a writer for the Beatles fan magazine. He also wrote the first Beatles biography, The True Story of the Beatles. Here this magazine says, as personally told to Billy Shepherd. So, it's true that Billy Shepherd or Billy Shears knew the Beatles very well. It's interesting that in ciphers, Sgt. Pepper's equals I am Bill Shepherd, as well as James Paul Rip. Then take the phrase Lonely Hearts Club Band, and you can match it too. Original Beatles, Paul dead, biological Paul's accident, biological Paul gets faked, I admit biological Paul died, James Paul MC, the 18th of June 1942 to September 11th, 1966. Although this might not be direct evidence that Paul McCartney died in 1966, it showcases how encoded and symbolic art, music and life can be it evil or good. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe and comment for more videos like this.